Isn't it interesting how Tyler and Burner both got the opportunities to be brand ambassadors at the same time, in the same month, around the same week, if I'm not mistaken. And it's almost like, and then I just remembered something that Tyler just outdid Burner when it comes to streaming. I forgot where, I think Spotify. So I'm looking at it from a point of view of because they both it's almost like they battling to well, Rema's still number one, but it's almost like Tyler and Burner like now battling to be number two, because now Burner thinks number three, so he's probably wants his spot back to be number two, and Tyler's like, I'm not scooting from number two. And it's the perfect people they're the perfect people that everybody's watching when it comes to Afrobeat sound. So I'm thinking these brands are like, oh, they're getting a lot of attention, and they decided, you know what? Then Gap decided, hey, let's just take Tyler to be the new face of our brand. I'm not sure if they brand ambassadors or they're just doing collections, whatever it is that they're doing. And then G Star decided, let's take Burner to be our brand ambassador. Well, that's what we'll work with for now. And I'm just looking at it from this is just one of those KFC versus Nando's. Now, I don't know who gets to be nice. I guess Tyler might be Nando's because she's South African and Nando's is proudly South African, but it's crazy. I didn't look at it from that I didn't look at it from that point of view, but it makes so much sense. They're the perfect people to go for now when it comes to brands because the whole Africa is looking at them. They're representing Africa, and the world is looking at Afro beats. So obviously, if we instead of picking the usual, let me just get a random artist, your Chris Browns, your typical, well, not typical, but other famous celebrities that are like doing well for themselves, instead of taking them now because the world is not, I mean, the world's still listening to R&B, the world is still listening to rap, but right now everybody's on Afro beats and everybody's trying to figure out the piano moves, and so they're the and the Afro beats move, so they're the perfect people to use. And I was asking myself, why did they pick them? And now it makes so much sense. So I think that these brands are very smart. And, shout out to Tyler and shout out to Burn as well, because they're much needed to when it comes to these brands. But they're very smart. I'm gonna put it like that. And I've noticed that nobody has picked Rema as yet. I'm not sure if they picked him. I'm thinking to myself, are they gonna? Is there some brand that's gonna allow it now pick him? These brands are very smart. So yeah, and I just picked up that when you're just looking at how the Africans are taking over music, it's very it's so obvious to most brands that they're the perfect people to use now, and Gap and G-Star were very smart to hop on so early because a lot of brands will start doing the same thing. If I'm not mistaken, I think I also saw Ara Star and she was doing some other thing. I think it's very obvious when they're doing things like makeup, but when it comes to clothes, it's not very typical. So I like how these brands operate. You can't hate, but at the same time, it's like it's so interesting because you don't see Africans using you, man. I haven't seen like Tyler's from South Africa. I haven't seen any South African brands like Makosa asking her to wear some of his stuff, and I haven't seen any Nigerian designers as well asking Burner to be the brand ambassador. And Gap and G Star were like, you know what, we're seeing the gap, let's do it now. And they chose it at such a perfect time, the same week, while they still in this competition with Tyler doing well when it comes to what's that water song, and Burna on the other side has always been delivering good music. So these brands are gonna do so well, and in Africans are gonna start. The Africans are gonna start rocking Gap and G Star because it's just a few Africans I've noticed that are that usually wear Gap. Gap is usually a lot of white people. And with G Star, I've noticed that a lot of rich black boys wear G Star and some guys from the hood, but it's not a lot of your typical black boys. So it's gonna be very interesting to see how things turn out and how Africans are start dressing as well, and how also international African Americans, because now they're using, as well as mixed people, because Tyler's mixed. It's going to be interesting to see if they also let's say, obsessing about Gap and G Star. So you can't hate, you gotta compliment. They really did it great because nobody is really keen on seeing Africans featuring international artists because now it's become a norm. It's been going on for the last 6, 7 years. So when we start seeing them rocking clothes, it's a different approach. So these brands are very smart. It is a great way of looking out for themselves and looking out for the artists. I think that while we're at it, a lot of Africans, instead of saying Tyler is now the face of Gap, that is so exciting, and Burner is the face of G Star, they need to start understanding that as much as these brands have been around for so long and they've been doing well, that these artists are also doing well. So it's like a 50-50 thing. The brands need the artists and the artists need the brands. So it's not one of those um, Gap looked at Tyler and they were like, oh man, let's just give this African a chance and see how things go, and let's give this to Burner and see how things go. It's not one of those things. It's just one of those, they're doing so well. It's an opportunity for those brands to work with them, and it's an opportunity for the artists to also work with them. So I hope a lot of Africans they get out of that whole, we Africans, look at us, look at how far we going. Yes, we did do that. It's awesome, but now we need to be at a stage where we like, okay, the world needs us because it's very clear. And if you're looking at Afro beats, if you're looking at TikTok, TikTok is a lot of the moves that everybody's trying to pick up when it comes to people around 13 to 34. It's it's um it's the piano moves as well as the Afro beats. So I think that a lot of artists are gonna learn to appreciate themselves and stop, not as a lot, yes, a lot of Africans are gonna start seeing themselves different after these ads. At least this is what I'm predicting. If it's not that, I think they'll just carry on with that. I can't believe South Africans are doing this in America and Nigerians are doing this, and I and I think it's definitely gonna affect their careers in a way. I think Tyler's gonna do well because of this. I feel like Burner has been around for so long, and yes, he's gonna benefit, but I feel like Tyler's got a longer run. And well, that's how it seems. But then music doesn't work like that. I mean, look at Beyonce; she's in her 40s, so Burner could be around same time as Tyler in the next 10 years. They could be going hit to hit still, but it's a beautiful thing to see. It's a beautiful thing to see. I just hope that Africans wake up and not look at it like some sort of we got lucky, and understand that those brands are very lucky to be working with Tyla and Burner. And yeah, I don't want to confuse myself. I'll just leave it there. So toodles.